Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. Today I'm going to be responding to a post-traumatic parenting community member's question about balancing her own need for self-care and her children's resentment and the social judgment of other people who don't get it. If you're a post-traumatic parent and you know how vital your self-care is to being the kind of parent you want to be, and yet your self-care is judged by others, or your kids are somewhat resentful for it, and you're not sure what to do, hi, welcome. We get it. We've been there. We're post-traumatic parents too. Please click subscribe below so you never miss another episode. So I'm going to paraphrase this question that came in on the Instagram post-traumatic parenting community. You can find it at Dr. Koslowitz Psychology on Instagram. I'm so deep into my CPTSD work, and this year I've traveled to visit my most supportive people who live overseas. My kids are understandably not too thrilled by it. However, my husband is supportive. And then she goes on to say that she needs the space and the connection to her most supportive people, that there's something about it that's extremely restorative to her, which is why her husband is so supportive of it. I can't help but feel tremendous guilt and fear as a mommy to little ones, and I hope I'll be able to figure out the self-care I need in a more doable way. I also fear the judgment of others who I know I would never be able to explain this to, including my own mother. It seems like an impossible quandary. As long as I stay home, like meaning without taking this break every so often, I'm entirely overloaded by the responsibility and the weight of decision fatigue. And when I'm away, I wonder why I'm such a selfish mother. And when I'm home all day with kids, when I know I need some space, I find myself in avoidance and on my phone dissociating, and that also feels selfish. So first of all, if you're a post-traumatic parent and this describes you, that desperate need for a break, especially with complex PTSD, that need for a break, but then you feel so guilty when you take a break, this is so normal for post-traumatic parents. It's actually normal for all parents. Many parents, especially mothers, especially if you're the primary attachment figure or you're nursing or you've been nursing, feel tremendous guilt at taking a break. But when we're post-traumatic parents, especially like this community member is saying her own mother wouldn't get it, which means there might be some shaming, blaming voices installed by her own mother, that can be really difficult. So let's understand this on a more metaphysical level, and then let's practically break this down. So on the more metaphysical level, you are a human. Your children want to be parented by you, by fully present, fully authentic, fully you. Whatever you need to do to make yourself into that person is not self-care. It's childcare, meaning if you are going away in service of being a present mom when you come home, then all the going away hours count as childcare. Kind of the way, you know, some schools will pay a teacher a certain amount of money for prep time at home because that's part of the job. You know, like if you're a lecturer in a college, they will pay you for some prep time because you're making the lecture, and that's part of the job. So I want you to fully and 100% really metabolize this message. Self-care is childcare. And it is not selfish to bring your full self to parenting. It's quite the opposite. Okay, so let's really reformulate that statement, and let's make sure that that shaming voice in your head, which may be a legacy from your mother, maybe something else, really gets that. I'm not selfishly gallivanting. I am engaging in self-care so that I can be the kind of parent that my children needs. And I think the biggest proof of that in your case is that your husband's supportive of it. Like, he gets it. He gets that there's a different you. that comes home from visiting overseas than the you that's there day after day when the CPTSD gets too much, when the stress bucket fills to the top and you just have nowhere to put it. So that's the first metaphysical thing I want to say. Now, on a very pragmatic level, let's figure out what we can do for your children so that when you go away, you're easing the transition as much as possible. First of all, I would talk to them and I would validate the valid about their feelings. You really don't like it when mommy goes away. I get that. Let's talk about it. And I would listen and validate, and I would really want to hear on a practical level, what are the holes I can fill? Like, what are the things that they're missing that maybe I can figure out another way to accomplish? And also the emotions. Like, I don't like it when you're far away and you went on an airplane and you won't come home for a few days. It makes me feel lonely and yucky inside, and I miss you a lot. Ouch, right? Hearing that, but you can validate that. Yeah, that's hard. It's hard when I go away. I really get that. Now, resist the urge to justify yourself, right? Certainly resist the urge to tell them if they wouldn't be such difficult kids, you wouldn't need to go away, but you're way past that at this point, right? So, because I know you and I know your CPTSD journey, and I know that like you're past ever doing that to your kids, but validating, just because you're validating doesn't mean you have to agree. And just because you're validating doesn't mean that you then have to change what you're doing. You might alter what you're doing somewhat, but validating and agreement are not the same thing, because I can validate the valid and I still have to go. So I would then look for and I would talk about the sadness and talk about the fact is our attachment is good if you're sad when I'm gone, right? That's a good thing. Doesn't mean I want you to be sad. So I would validate that. Yeah, that is sad. It is hard. I get that. I really hear that. Then I would talk about what can we do to make it maybe not better, but easier. So if it's like, I miss the yummy suppers you make, and then when you're not home, dad buys us, pizza every night, and I don't like pizza. No, maybe I can cook the suppers you like and put them in the freezer special for you, and then you can warm them up. And as you eat them, you think, I'm going to sprinkle extra love into them. And when you eat them, you're going to feel my love in every bite because I left those suppers special for you. Maybe it's a mentalization thing, like reading The Invisible String with them, the idea that we are connected even when we're apart, a kissing hand for Chester Raccoon, the idea that I can put a kiss inside of you. Whenever you need that kiss, you can access that kiss. So I'm going to kiss your hand and I want you to put the kiss on your cheek when I'm not here. Maybe it's leaving them a recording of your voice, reading their favorite bedtime story or a video of you doing their bedtime routine so they can really feel that connection. Is it the same as you being home? No. But it's a nice ritual and a way of bridging in the same way that you would do if one of your kids was in the hospital and you had to be there with them and the other kids were home and they missed you. In the same way that you would do if you had to travel for work, right? In other words, the reason that you're going, that you feel selfish about it, doesn't make a difference in terms of the rituals you might use to make it easier on your kids. You could have a pact that, at exactly 4:30, let's pretend you're going to a place that's 10 hours away, right? So, or 12 hours away. So when it's 4:30, a.m. for me, it's 4:30. Well, let's say when it's 4:30 for you, it's 6:30 a.m. for me or whatever. So the minute I wake up, I'm going to tug on my earlobe 3 times because that's, I love you. And at 4:30, right when you're coming home from school, you're going to tug on your earlobe, I love you. And then I'm going to call you and I'm going to say, did you feel my tugs? I just tugged my earlobe and said, I love you. I felt you tugging your earlobe because you said, I love you. We are connected even though we're apart. You might write a continuing journal of your trip where you write little letters to them, and then when you come home, you read it with them and have them write little letters to you. So when you come home, you read their letters. So the idea is we are connected even though we're apart, and we're going to have all sorts of rituals that we're going to put together so that when we're apart, we're still around. It's especially helpful that you have your husband because he is either the secondary or the primary attachment figure. So your children are going from one parent on duty to a different parent on duty. Children can do that. The attachment system is adaptable, and children can switch from one parent to the other. And it is totally fine for a little while you're away, restoring yourself to create the kind of mother that your kids need. Your husband is at home taking care of them. But I would really double down on, practically speaking, oh, dad's not good at the laundry and then I can never find my uniforms. Okay, so maybe we buy a few more uniforms and maybe we buy an extra pair of shoes or more socks, and maybe I lay out your clothes for every single day so that you know exactly what you're wearing, because dad's not good at like the matching up socks to outfits thing. So I will do that. Maybe it's, I don't like the way I get to soccer practice. I don't like the person who drives me, and maybe we change that driver, right? We figure out if there's practical things we can do to cushion that blow. We do those things, right? I will cook you those dinners. I will lay out those clothes, right? I will prepare to leave in such a way that you have your practical needs met. Because sometimes it's just that practical thing. In terms of the mentalization, we're going to work on rituals. Come up with a ritual that makes us feel connected. I really like recording my voice. This happens. I sometimes have to travel. I speak out of town. I sometimes consult in schools, and I sometimes have to be gone overnight. I try not to be gone for too long, but every so often it happens. Sometimes I want to write and I want to like go away for like 3-4 days and work on my book and not be home. And I find that recording videos, recording my voice, certainly phone calls and video chats can really be helpful. And we have special songs and special books that I read specifically when I'm away. Like I will bring a picture book with me to the place where I am traveling so that I can read that book to my child when it's bedtime. Especially some of my kids, I like to read chapter books and we read chapter by chapter. I'll bring the book with me, or I'll photocopy the chapter if I need to, so I can read it to them so that we don't interrupt that ritual of like, I read to you a chapter every night before you go to bed. And I have a special lullaby that I sing when I'm away so that my child knows that this is like the away calming down ritual, because I'm attached to you even if I'm away. I love, like I said, the books about mentalization, A Kissing Hand for Chester Raccoon, The Invisible String, reading that to your child and reminding them that we are connected even though we're apart, and letting them know that when I go away, I'm going away to help myself become a better mother. When I go away because going away allows me to have that break and allows me to recharge and regain my energy. Because when they're little, we don't have to start explaining like burnout and things like that. That would be scary. But explaining to them the idea that, moms work very hard and I get very tired. And when I go away, I can rest and I can recuperate my energy and make myself feel better. Then I come back and I am ready to be your mom again because I am completely recharged now, right? When I'm away, I'm still your mom, right? Not be your mom again, but ready to be energetic as your mom because I've gotten all my energy back. Just like when we take a phone and we recharge it overnight and then the battery is full, right? Remember when your remote control car ran out of batteries and we had to put in new batteries, or we had to, plug it into the wall? So going away is like me plugging myself into the wall so that I can recharge. And then when I come home, I'm ready to parent with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. In terms of like when you're home and you feel like that need for a break, so you dissociate on your phone, I would very mindfully commit to hours that my phone is not on no matter what. Like I am not going to dissociate. I'm going to be fully present. And I find for me, when I do not get enough sleep, when I have not eaten enough, and when I am overwhelmed with deadlines and I've taken on too much, or like now with writing the book, most of my brain is busy on a chapter, I tend to do that dissociated thing more. And I really have to set a timer on my phone and be like, okay, phone, I can look at you for 10 more minutes. And now I am mindfully transitioning into mommy time. And I am going to really focus. And I'm going to be really present with my kids. But like I said, when I haven't had enough sleep and I haven't refueled in terms of like enough calories and enough like, water and enough, I haven't used the bathroom, things like that, I find I tend to dissociate much more. Like when my body feels better, my brain is more available. When my body feels worse, even if I'm physically present, I am not emotionally present. So I've really learned to take care of my body, because turns out humans are biological creatures, and biological creatures need to replenish themselves every so often. And that might mean taking a break, eating something, drinking something. Like even for me, because I do tend to like overwork myself, setting a timer and saying, okay, my kids will be home in a half hour. I need to eat now so that I have restored blood sugar by the time they come home, because it's really hard to parent without blood sugar. Like, it doesn't work. I can pretend all day that I can do it, but then they come home and I dissociate, and that doesn't work. So I'm gonna set that time and give myself that break. This is hard with complex PTSD, right? Because complex PTSD is about all those shaming, blaming voices, growing up in an invalidating environment, having so many traumas of absence, which are so much harder to recover from. You know, like when you have a trauma of presence, you're like, this happened, it shouldn't have happened, it wasn't good. It's so different than when it's a trauma of absence, just the chronic damage of all the things that didn't happen for you. Because then, of course, how do you give those things to your kids if you've never experienced them yourself? So you're already working so hard and over-functioning so much. That's why you're exhausted. And if you've found your safe place, like overseas, you have people that you go see and they make you feel better, and that's your healing place, and it's working, and it works for your husband's schedule, it works for you to go, please do it. And please do it with a full heart, doing it because this is how you make a mother for your kids. And yeah, I'd validate them and I'd figure out which holes I can close, but this is the only way. So if you go away and you're feeling so much guilt, you might not fill that cup as much as if you go away completely wholeheartedly knowing that you are making the mother that your children needs now, and you are doing this in service of parenting in accordance with your values. You're gonna come home so much more replenished and refreshed. If you found this helpful, if you're a post-traumatic parent and this is content that you needed maybe years ago, maybe now, if you have a friend who's a fellow post-traumatic parent and they need to hear about this, please tag them below, please comment below and let me know if this video resonated with you. If you have other videos that you'd like me to shoot, other topics you'd like me to cover, please comment below, because I really do read every comment and I really do respond, and many of the videos come from the questions post-traumatic parenting community members ask. If you want to hang out where your fellow post-traumatic parents hang out, check out at Dr. Koslowitz Psychology on Instagram. I do respond to DMs. I do interact on there. I do respond to comments on posts. If you want to have longer form content where you're learning from experts about the intersection between parenting and trauma, check out the Post-Traumatic Parenting Podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, the Post-Traumatic Parenting book will be forthcoming soon from Broadleaf, so keep your eyes peeled for that, because that's going to be happening. Till next time.